Hello, welcome to Papa Nick's Music. I am, as always, your host, Papa Nick Lewis. And today we are starting a tangential series about actors. Gives me a chance to work my way through George's solo catalog. If you're a regular viewer, you know what I'm talking about. I want to talk about actors for a bit. Now, I've always loved movies, but to be honest, I've always been a fan primarily of the story. Not so much, I'm aware of the different aspects of a film. I'm aware of the photography. I'm aware of the performances. I'm aware of the music that's playing in the background. But the main thing I'm drawn to is the story, or used to be anyway. For me, the quality of acting in a movie is similar to the life-saving qualities of environmental regulations. You don't notice what doesn't kill you, right? And for me, that meant a good performance blended into the universe of the movie, so it didn't register with me as good acting. But then, just about 10 years ago, like a few months over 10 years ago, I met the woman who became my wife. And she has been active in professional and community theater pretty much all of her life. She was drafted into the business when she was a toddler by her mother, who was also an actor and a director. In fact, our first date took place at one of the theaters in the area where she was a dresser for a production of Greater Tuna. So this was when I got to meet the lovely and talented Whitney Marlette, but it's also when I got to meet two of my very good friends and two of the best actors I've seen on the stage, Danny Mosier and Will Mercer. Since I've known my wife, the lovely and talented Whitney Marlette, I've gotten to know quite a few actors here in the San Antonio area, and I've gotten to see them perform in many shows. And what I've learned from this is that a good actor disappears into the role. That was something I was always vaguely aware of, but now that I've witnessed it, watching people I know turn into completely different people on stage, I've come to appreciate talented, capable actors. So for the next few weeks, I'm going to be talking about my favorite actors and why they are my favorites. But going against type for this channel, we're going to start with a handful of actors that I simply cannot stand. As I said a second ago, a good actor is someone, I think, who disappears into the role. My wife, for example, once played a woman with Alzheimer's, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever watched. I would stand out in the parking lot at the intermission of the show, ostensibly to take a smoke break, but really to be able to weep without anyone watching me, because during that performance, my wife, my lovely, talented, beautiful, kind, wonderful wife, had Alzheimer's. It was a grueling show for me to watch. But that's what good actors do. They don't memorize their lines, although that's part of the task. They inhabit the characters. They make their characters into living flesh and blood people. Bad actors can't do that. Yeah, bad actors are hitting marks and reciting lines, yes. Oh, okay, really bad actors may not even be hitting marks and reciting lines. Off to the side. For me, a bad actor is someone whose performance, perhaps even simply their presence, is enough to take me out of the experience of the piece. I'm aware that the actor is there rather than the character. Sometimes this is the result of decisions they make as actors that clash with my sense of reality. Sometimes this is the result of something as simple as the timbre of the actor's voice. Sometimes this is the result of knowing something about the actor that spoils my sense of what they can be, and all I see is the baggage they bring into the role rather than the character they're portraying. Whatever the reason, these are some actors that I simply cannot stand. I'm putting them into a top 10 format, and I will save the most egregious examples for the top of the list, but don't read a whole lot into the order of this list. But before we start, we've got to do the subjectivity notice. I am not making any objective claims here, so please do not interpret me that way. We firmly believe here at Papa Nick's Music that there is no such thing as objectively good or objectively bad art. There is only art that we like and art that we do not. And as long as we keep that in mind, this is a wonderful conversation. It's entertaining, it's informative. It's our attempt to see the world from somebody else's perspective, which I would argue is always a good thing. The conversation goes right off the rails, though, as soon as one of the parties in said conversation insists on being seen as objectively right. So I'm not doing that. I'm not saying that these are objectively bad actors. I'm saying these are actors whose presence in a movie will make me not want to go see that movie. Because I know as soon as that actor shows up on stage, I'm now paying attention to, the man behind the curtain rather than enjoying the spectacle. Okay? I'm not saying they're bad actors. I'm not saying they're bad people, although I am saying some of them are bad people. I'm just saying I don't want to watch them in movies. Quick note before we start. I use the word actor to refer to the individual regardless of gender identity. I will not have lists of actors and actresses. There's enough misogyny in the arts as it is. I won't add to the problem. And no, I'm not saying it's misogynistic to use the word actress. But the gendered separation of actors has no useful purpose as far as I can see, and there is a great deal of harm in having separate but equal categories, so I choose not to use them. That's all. Now, with that out of the way, here are my top 10 actors that I simply cannot stand. Now, before we start the list, I'm going to go ahead and dispense with some low-hanging fruit here. Normally, somebody sets up a list like this, and you expect to see Pauly Shore and Rob Schneider and Steven Seagal, and that's low-hanging fruit. I'm not dealing with low-hanging fruit here. I'm not putting people on this list who have a reputation for being bad actors. Okay, for the most part, the people on this list are people that I think there are a significant number of people out there who would believe these are good actors. Okay. No low-hanging fruit here. Coming in at number 10, I've got a tie. By the way, this week our unofficial sponsor is Modelo. Got to change it up every once in a while. I've got a tie at 10, at the 10 spot. And these are the three that I could think of off the top of my head. If I sit here and really put my brain to it, I could probably come up with several more people. But it's enough for you to get the sense of what I'm reserving this spot on the list for. So number 10, the number 10 slot is reserved for those people, sometimes actors we admire just turn out to be shitty people. And that's just the way it goes. And once you know they're shitty people, it's really hard to see past the shittiness, to see the acting that you used to admire. And my tie goes to Kevin Spacey, Bill Cosby, and Mel Gibson. Once upon a time, I deeply admired each of these three men. Now I would just as soon not watch them in anything. That's number 10. My number 9, I've got another cluster here. I've got three guys that all have the same qualities to them. I don't get why they're popular. I mean, I understand that they're popular. I got it. I agree. These guys are really popular. I understand that. But I don't understand why. And that was before having my nose rubbed in their overexposure. Now that I can't turn on my TV without seeing them in commercials and stuff like that, that's one of them particularly is bad about showing up in commercials. I've seen these guys in plenty of movies, and I have never thought to myself, wow, that movie was good, at least in part because of that actor's participation. It's always been, well, okay, I'm glad he got killed in that movie, or something like that. I won't automatically hate a movie that has one of these guys in it, but I will not be excited about seeing it if I know this guy is in it. And my three contenders here are Jack Black, Kevin Hart, and Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen gets an extra little smidgen of being despised, despisability, because I really hate his laugh. Oh my God, his laugh, that's nails on a chalkboard. Oh, can't stand it. Okay, from here out, no categories, no clusters. All individuals. Coming in at number 8, we have Sharon Stone. Now, to be honest, as I'm sitting here thinking about her, I'm having difficulty calling up a mental image of her face, despite the fact that I have seen several of her movies. She takes up space in movies, but she doesn't really fill it. So, number 8, Sharon Stone. Coming in at number 7, I used to watch a lot of genre movies in the 90s, science fiction movies and crime dramas and stuff like that. I still do, but back then we still had B movies, and I watched a lot of those. And one of the fairly common actors in those movies was a gentleman named Michael Madsen, who later got something of a renaissance, and I never understood why this guy ever got a job. I never understood why he was in the cheesy movies that he was in, and I never understood why he had something of an actual reputation for being an actor later on. As far as I can tell, he's got the emotional range of a desk. Now, it may just be because of the roles he's taken, but get a cardboard cutout of Michael Madsen, stand it there, it'll be cheaper, you get the same effect. So number 7, Michael Madsen. Number 6. At number 6, we've got somebody that I haven't seen in very many things, but everything I've seen him in, he just irritates the shit out of me. And that is Michael Rappaport. He's got a whiny voice. I mean, really whiny voice that just grates on my nerves. It's amazing to me that he had that carved out a career for himself as a comedian, essentially somebody who talks for a living, because, geez Louise. He almost single-handedly destroyed an entire series of Justified, one of my favorite TV shows. So he's got to be on my list. Number 6, Michael Rappaport. Number 5. Now, I'm going to be honest here. I had to do some thinking to get my 6, 7, and 8. I knew the 9 and 10 were going to be what they were going to be. I had to think a little bit before I could come up with 6, 7, and 8. Which means, ask me again in a couple of years, and I might have some other people that I want to stick into those 3 spots. But as soon as I thought, okay, if I'm going to talk about actors I like, it might be a good idea to start with actors I don't like. Boom, 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 boom. These first 5 it just fell out of my brain. And so I have no doubt at all, you ask me, in 10 years, and these 5 are still going to be top of my list. So, coming in at number 5 of actors that I simply cannot stand, we have somebody who I was tempted to put in the bad human being category up above, but I saved him out just because I hated Russell Brand before it was a popular thing. I don't dislike Russell Brand because he's a toxic piece of shit human being. I dislike Russell Brand because of his voice and because of his hair and because of his physicality in everything that he says. Everything that he does to me is the physical embodiment of biting on tinfoil. If biting on tinfoil were a person, that person would be Russell Brand. Number 5 on the actors that I cannot stand. Number 4, we have... I need to take a break before number 4 because, Jesus. I cannot stand Renee Zellweger. I've never seen her in anything where I thought, okay, she did okay in that. Never. If anything, her presence is enough to make me want to ride the fast forward button to get past her scene, right? No matter what character she plays, she ends up reminding me of a particularly frustrated preteen, and that gets old really, really quickly. I cannot stand Renee Zellweger. My number 4. My number 3. There are just some times where I look around at the world that I live in and I think to myself, how the hell did that happen, right? I mean... Number 3, I get how Burt Young made a career in Rocky movies, playing Rocky's brother-in-law. He was Adrian's brother, I think. It's been years since I've seen Rocky, and I'm not going to sit through it again because it's got fucking Burt Young in it. I fucking hate Burt Young. But I understand that. But Chinatown? Are you kidding me? This man got cast in Chinatown? Even though it's a small role, it's still an important one, and he has a decent amount of screen time. He opens the movie, for crying out loud. How in the hell did Burt Young get cast in Chinatown? I know, it's a fact. It's true. And I have absolutely no idea how it is possible that I live in a world where Burt Young can be cast in a movie like Chinatown. My number 3 actor that I cannot despise, or that I cannot stand, Burt Young. Okay. My top 2. I hate both of these actors. Burt Young, okay. I don't like Burt Young. I don't think he does a... I don't like Burt Young, but I don't sit there and just seethe that Burt Young is taking up space in this movie, right? These are actors whose presence in a movie will take me out of the movie watching experience, but that's, that it's a knock against the movie, but it's not something that is going to make me, I'm not going to go insane with this or anything, right? These are not people who are ruining my life or anything like that. When we get up to these top 2, we're talking about getting close to ruining your life here. My number 2. Maybe this is my actual note. Maybe the most wooden, insincere actor I have ever seen. I'm not sure what the first thing was that I ever saw her in. It may have been Die Hard with a Vengeance. Although, now that I'm thinking about it, no. She did a cameo in one of the seasons of WKRP in Cincinnati, so I know I saw her. Excuse me, I know I saw her on that. But regardless, the first time I saw her and every time since, I have been struck immediately by how mechanical she seemed. How devoid of emotion, how devoid of perspective. A ventriloquist's dummy has greater range of facial expression than my number 2 hated actor, and that is Colleen Camp. Like I was saying about Burt Young a second ago, I mean, I live in a world where Colleen Camp is a respected actress, and I'm not saying she is objectively bad. I'm just saying I don't see it. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. It's like, the Cuyahoga River was a fire hazard. It doesn't make sense to me. Colleen Camp as an actress with any sort of serious reputation, just cannot stand Colleen Camp. But my number 1 most hated actor is really frustrating because there are a few movies that this actor has been in that I really like and that I will watch from time to time, even though they've got this guy in them. And my number 1 most hated actor is Joe Pesci. I've got essentially 2 words. That voice. 4 words. Jesus Christ, that voice, right? I listened to Joe Pesci talk for like 2 minutes, and I just want to throw myself off of the nearest tall building. I cannot stand Joe Pesci. I can't stand his voice. Physically, he is a decent actor. He doesn't look like he's just standing there waiting for something to do, like Colleen Camp or Michael Madsen. It's just, God damn! If we could hire somebody to dub his voice, man, I'd be right there. But that voice just, man, that's rough. Ugh. So those are the 10 actors that I cannot stand. A little bit of why I cannot stand them. And the whole point of me starting here is not so that you will not stand them too, or not to piss you off because these are actually actors that you like, but rather to start laying the groundwork. If these are the things that I don't like in actors, so maybe it'll make a little bit more sense when I talk about the things that I do like. We got yin and yang action going on here. And I wanted to get that Joe Pesci thing out of the way. But from here on out, when we're talking about actors, we're going to be talking about actors we really like. Now, if we move on to directors, I've got a few directors that I do not understand the popularity of, and we'll get a healthy conversation going on that. But let's stick to actors for now. Those are my 10 actors that I cannot stand. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Drop that note down below. I always love hearing from you. What actors do you hate? Which of these am I wrong about? If you enjoyed today's video, I'd appreciate it if you'd click the like button while you're down there clicking. If you haven't already done so, I'd appreciate it if you'd click the subscribe button. It costs you nothing, but it means the world to me, so I very much appreciate it. And again, thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope the rest of your day is gratifying. See you soon.